Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the charts to take a look at several altcoins that I think are ready to buy now. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you'll be kept up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out today. Okay guys, right, as I get into this, it's important that we just note that I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice, and this is just my thoughts and opinions on the data as I see it. Let's keep that in mind, and it's always important to do your own research. Let's jump on down into the desktop and jump right into the first altcoin. Okay, so the first one should be no surprise. It's something that we talk about a lot on the channel, VeChain. Okay, now I think VeChain has some fantastic opportunities ahead of it. Now I still see the surge upwards here. As you can see, we broke this resistance recently, so I think that we are just going to pull back down ever so slightly and then continue a bit of a push up higher. We have the possibility of going to 4 cent, but I think the real resistance is going to come in at about 3.6, and then from there I would imagine that we're going to pull back down into this lower range. Now, essentially, I think the buying opportunity for VeChain actually comes in much later. I think it's actually going to be all the way down here about 1.7 to 1.8. Okay, now this is one of those kind of scenarios where you see potential, opportunity further down the line than right this second. So this is one that I would put a pin in and kind of wait on. I think there's some fantastic opportunities to come later on. However, if you're a retail investor who, is either impatient or doesn't have the time to be timing the market perfectly, you can of course put a limit order in and just kind of hope that it comes down to these ranges and update it accordingly if I think that we are not likely to go down into these ranges and all that kind of stuff. So there's ways you can kind of plan ahead without having to watch the charts 24/7. Alternatively though, we are at a very significant discount. You could of course jump in, and I don't think it's going to make too much difference. I mean, as a retail investor, depending on how much money you're putting in here, if it's a few $100s, I don't think it's really worth worrying too much about trying to optimize that for the maximum amount of potential. However, I do think that if you're throwing some reasonably large cash at this, you're probably going to want to wait for the pullback personally. So that's kind of the first one, right? So VeChain here, I'm seeing this potentially moving up to about 4 cent and then pulling back down to about 1.7. We've been trading sideways for over a week now. Not much has really changed here, so just keep a close eye on this. But essentially, yeah, we are thinking a small push up, then pull back down towards 1.7 cent. Now, depending on how high this goes, it will change this low point, so just keep that in the back of our heads. Let's jump on to the second one again. No surprise here. We are talking about Harmony One. Now, Harmony One actually looks like it's trading sideways in a very similar way to VeChain. And essentially we are looking at this zigzag pattern, right? We're trying to see if we can actually move this on up. We haven't actually seen any good structure here just yet, and so this might just be our third wave that we're kind of looking to kind of complete, with then some kind of fourth wave pullback, and then a final fifth wave surging up a little bit. That completes this sideways move. Again, it's just sideways corrections. There isn't actually more to note here than what is going on. Essentially, I see this moving up to potentially this higher range. I've kind of got this one put out there about 6.9, but again, this could change depending on what else goes on here. So for example, if I were to go ahead and just grab hold of this move from the low, if I can get it somewhere around here. Let me just check to make sure this is exactly the right place, which it is. Okay, cool. So if we go ahead and take this and we move it over to the low, which is actually over here now, so we can take that put it there, we can see that this actually now looks like it's moving up to 6.953. That seems to be the highest area right there. It's actually coming in at about 2.7, but I'll leave it at 5.3. I think I've probably been a little bit more accurate in the past. If we do move up higher than 7.3, that would invalidate the fifth wave going down lower, so we want to make sure that we don't really cross that point, because we want to maximize our gains. We want this fifth wave to come in, right? And this fifth wave is actually targeting out down here between 1.9 and 2.6 cents. So again, this is not an altcoin that I want to be buying right this second, but this is an altcoin that I want to be focusing in on, and I want to put some buy orders in, some limit orders in for this one at around these low points. Okay, this is a significant level of discount to be had here, which if I come over here, we are talking about it moving all the way down to like 94.7% if we were to go down to 1.9 cent, okay? So really, that's where I want to be placing my limit orders. That's where I want to be really focusing in on, and that's the area that I think is going to have us with, you know, a good clean reversal and also a really good place for maximizing those gains down the line. Okay, so just focus in on that. Again, same concept as VeChain, right? If you're throwing only a few hundred at it, I wouldn't worry about whether you're going to pull down from 92% to 94% from the previous high. Yes, there's going to be some more coins that you can get, but it's going to be really small in comparison to if you were to throw in thousands of dollars, for example. So just be aware that, you know, you might miss the opportunity if you don't put limit orders in. Maybe it doesn't go down to a full 1.9, maybe it only goes to 1.6, maybe it, you know, doesn't even go to there, right? So it's important that we review and the technical analysis frequently, so that we can be on top of all of the moves. So just bear that in mind. You know, if you haven't got the time to watch the charts, then, you know, slowly dollar cost averaging on all of the red days, I don't think is a bad strategy to have either. This is something that Chris does quite frequently. Okay, let's jump over into 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. Okay, so 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘's doing very much the same, right? We have our invalidation point set up here at 7.09. We are looking at moving to about 6.5. Okay, that is still in the cards right up here, and we are looking at this. This is actually 6.543. That is still very much valid, and I may just zoom in for a second just down here, because I can notice that's actually a little bit off there. So let me just go ahead and just realign that. It's actually up here at 6532. So I'll just adjust this line to 3.2, and then I'll go ahead and just throw a price point on there as well, so we can see, right? So there's our target zone, right? We can see that that's our target, and here we can see we've got a clear kind of move upwards, right? So we want to just go ahead and check this. What is going on here with 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘? Are we actually heading towards those targets? And here you can see we hit the 1.618, so we're looking probably for a fourth and a fifth wave. Looks like a fourth wave right now, so I would anticipate that what we're looking at here is a 1, 2, 3, 4 wave come down, and then a fifth wave to hit our target there, and then essentially all of that then becomes a 335 structure. So if I were to just go ahead and grab hold of my WXY, for example, we have this as our W, this is our X wave, which is a double kind of bottom here, and then we come up into a Y, finishing the move off completely. And then after this, that is our kind of fourth wave high. That allows us to have our fifth wave low. Okay, now the fifth wave low, if that is our high point, we can then go ahead and project out using our fib tools. Again, anyone who is watching this morning's Bitcoin video, we want to make sure that these are correctly loaded. And this actually does change things after that recent move. So this would actually lower us down to about 2.9. And on the lower side, so let me actually just go ahead and move this down to our low point here, which would be 2.953. Okay, and the higher end of the spectrum now also changes ever so slightly. So I'll go ahead and I'll move this to our 3.562. Okay, so that basically becomes our higher end of the spectrum. Okay, I'll just move this over all the way over here if I can. And essentially what this is going to do is it's going to give us our buy zone. Okay, now there are a couple of issues with this move to the downside. One clearly is this level that I've marked up here at 3.317. Okay, now 3.317 is an invalidation of a macro move. Okay, so this macro move up is absolutely vital in my future thinking of where 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 is likely to go. So we want to make sure that we don't drop down lower than that. But obviously this little buy zone, this little area down here, is showing us that we could invalidate that macro structure. Okay, so we should be very, very cautious here, and we'd actually want to hope for a double bottom on 3.317 or not go any lower than 3.317. Okay, so essentially here, that's kind of what we're looking at. We're looking at a small surge up, and then we're looking for this pullback down. Now, if we do invalidate the macro structure, that's okay. It just means that a different pattern to the upside is likely to be had. This structure, this buy zone, is still valid. It is still a point of reversal. It is still a point where we will be looking at a good push upwards. It just means that it's not going to be as bullish as maybe I was hoping, right? And I think I got some really bullish targets for 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 should this still hold up. Okay, I'm not going to go through that in this video. I'll save that for a future 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 video, right? But do be aware that we are in this move, this fourth wave correction. It's been very corrective, and it looks like we're ending on a 5-wave move up, and then we should look for collapse down towards 2.9 to 5.3, and we ideally would like to stay above 3.317. Okay, so that's 𝗕𝗓𝗃. Same concepts before though. Maximum coins will be found down here. Dollar cost averaging on the way down is always a good idea, in my opinion, specifically for retail investors who have not got the time to be looking at the charts all the time. Okay, likewise, if we move up to 7.098, if I can get my words out, would invalidate this fifth wave low. Okay, so if we go up higher than that, then this would not be valid wave count. Okay, and everything there would be looking for a reversal. So again, just keep these things in mind. They're key areas for us on 𝗕𝗓𝗃. Okay, let's jump into EGLD. Now, EGLD, let me actually just tidy this up because it looks like things have changed ever so slightly. We had that C wave come down a little bit lower. Let's actually go ahead and just take a look at this, right? So here we can see that we are tracking this move here. This looks like we're actually ending in a much deeper move overall, right? So we're in some kind of Y wave and we're looking to bring this down quite a bit. So let me just go ahead and put that back because I don't want to move anything. So let's just place our moves here. We can kind of see that this is a 5-wave structure. So again, you know, moving from the top end here to a 3 and then a 4th and then still a 5th. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to analyze whether or not we are pushing up higher or whether or not we are, you know, actually now looking at the reversal. Now here, we actually have a pretty clear structure from this bottom to the upside. We move on up, we pull back down, we move up, we pull back down, we move on back up again. So there's a couple of ways you can look at it. I don't want to think this is a 5-wave structure. I don't think that's really valid, but we'll just check it anyway. Just for our own sanity here, we'll just check. Yeah, we're not in a 5-wave structure. If anything, this is actually a really complicated, this is basically a WXY/XZ, possibly, something to that effect, maybe. Really hard to place. It's a series of corrections all strung together here. So 1, 2, 3, pull back down, 1, 2, 3. So it's actually, if I actually articulate this very differently, I guess the easiest way of doing it would be WXY like that. Okay, so clear move up. And then clear move down. Here we actually have overlap, so not a 5-wave structure, even though we could potentially look at it slightly differently. We could articulate this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think that's a bit pushing it. Instead, I would say that actually you're just 3 waves here, the 3 waves coming back down over here. So again, this is again some kind of complex corrective move. Again, I think we're going to follow the rest of the market. I would anticipate a small push higher, but the wave counts are not clear enough to give a clear target to that, other than the fact that we might be able to take this high, this low, and then translate that over to here, and that would show us at about 124. So it's possible that we do surge up a little bit here, but I think it's unlikely. If anything, we're going to find major resistance right about here at 105, and also right where we were previously at $100 or so. So the more likely scenario is that we're going to pull back down. So I wouldn't be optimistic right now on that one. Again, just keeping an eye on the rest of the market. What Bitcoin does will pretty much determine what EGLD is going to do as well. Now, we can refine this low point as well. Okay, so we actually have this targeting now a little bit differently. I had my original target at 55, and I still think that's a zone that we want to be looking out for on a 1-to-1 ratio, so we could overwick this a little bit. But if this is a 5-wave structure coming on down, then we're actually looking at about 57 to about, if I actually pull this down, to about 66. Okay, so that's going to be the sweet spot right down here, right? So $57 to $66 on the EGLD side of things. And I think that would actually then mark the bottom. It's possible that we do drop down to that 55, which you can see over this side, but I think that's it's possible, but I don't think the subwave counts are going to allow for that, but I could be wrong. So let's keep an eye out. The subwave counts of this move will matter more than the actual estimate of the 5th wave in total. Okay, so keep an eye on that. But essentially, yeah, we are looking at this pullback down. We are looking to kind of maximize the gains here, and this isn't something that's new. I was speaking about this a while back, how $55 is something that's been on the cards for quite some time, in the same way that Polkadot was also looking quite bearish for a period. So again, we should be open to the idea of some pretty good discounts here on EGLD if that is our bag, if that is something that we want to be buying. So we'll jump over to Phantom now. This is one that I haven't looked at too much. But I do know that there is some community members in our Discord that really want to get a good idea on what's going on with Phantom here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to delete everything off here, and we're just going to take a look at this. We're going to start with our daily, okay? We're going to just break this down. It does look like a pretty strong move to the downside to be had here. So what we want to do is we want to just check this one. We want to just check to see where all of this actually goes on our daily. So yeah, we're definitely in a 5-wave move. We're in a 4th wave from there. So it looks like we've got if I grab hold of my 5-wave move here on the daily, we are looking at some kind of 5-wave move right in here. Okay, and we're probably looking at this kind of move to the downside. Okay, so do expect some more discounted rates here for FTM as Bitcoin pulls back down. Okay, so that's on our daily chart. Let's bring it up into our hourly, right? So we can see that we've got this macro view, and what we want to do is we want to kind of get a good grasp as to what is going on here. Have we had that kind of that drop that we would expect to see here? So I do think that we've got that some kind of correction here. Coming on up, then pulling back down into another 5 wave. So I think we've got 5 waves in there, and we are tracking upwards now. Now, this is interesting. As we take a look at this, we've got this good surge coming up here recently for FTM. So again, this is an interesting place to be. So if I grab this and I move it over to our low, which would be about here, just on this candle, this actually shows us potentially moving that 4th wave up to about 53.4 cent. Okay, that's just a 1-to-1 ratio if we were to think of this as a giant W X and then Y. Okay, so that's kind of that. And now what we want to do is we want to review this because it looks like it's in a 5-wave motion right here. So if I grab this, move it over, clear impulsive structure, 4th wave structure here, potentially looking for that next move up. And if we do this, then that gives us actually a really sweet target to be aiming for. If I grab hold of this move and we just target that out right there, I would say that we are probably looking at moving on up to about 48.10. So we just pull that down there. And then right up here on this one, we are talking about 51.13. Okay, so that would be our kind of 5th wave expectations, as in we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that would be our Y wave complete there. And, you know, we would probably have to articulate this as some kind of really weird, complex correction move right inside here. It might be some kind of running flat or zigzag-based pattern. So that's interesting. But essentially, that's what you're looking at. And now, if we do go up that high, if I get rid of that, and I go ahead and grab for this low point up to that high point right about here, then essentially our next 5th wave target low it should be pretty clear to see that our buy zone for FTM would be all the way down here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll mark this up as well. So our low end target is basically 15 cent, and our higher end target right up here comes in at 20 cent. Okay, so we have that sweet spot for our 5th wave low. And again, you know, that's where I would be looking at accumulating ahead of the next kind of big surge to the upside overall. Okay, so there's a lot of fantastic altcoins. I'm not going to really go through many more. I might go through just one more altcoin on this video. But essentially, most of these altcoins, they are ready and primed for these last little drop. But for most retail investors, I don't think it's overly that important where you start dollar cost averaging. Once you kind of drop below 80-85% from the previous highs, ultimately dollar cost averaging is a fantastic strategy. It's less stressful than trying to time the market, and often people say, you know, timing the market is more important than timing the market, and understanding a strategy is as simple as just slowly buying every dip as you see it, and once you're below a certain threshold is a really good way of accumulating without the stress of trying to time it perfectly. That being said, these values that I have quoted in this video, you can of course go ahead and put limit orders if you want, but do remember I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice. This is just my thoughts and opinions based on my understanding of how to apply techniques to the charts. Okay, so do take that with a pinch of salt. I'm going to go into just one last altcoin here, which is going to be Chainlink. I really like Chainlink. but I am overexposed to it, so I hold far too much, and as a result, the volatility can kill your portfolio. So just be aware that you want some exposure to Oracle-based protocols, and I like Chainlink. It's got over 1,000 integrations, but there are others such as API3, Charlie3, Band Protocol, for example, and Link is just one, but it is the main one that's heavily adopted at the moment. But make sure you are aware that it's incredibly volatile. It has massive swings to the upside, massive swings to the downside. So it can be really good for your portfolio in one breath, but also really bad in another. So make sure you've got a good balance there. Essentially, I am seeing this thing moving up to about $9.38 approximately before we pull on down towards our low zones. Now, our low zone for Link here actually shows this at about $3.99, believe it or not. And then, of course, $4.88. Okay, so this is our little sweet spot for buying some Link. So we could see ourselves pull back down from $9.38 all the way down. So let's just take that higher end. It's like a 47% drop. If we go down to that lower end, we're talking a 57% drop, right? So these altcoins can bleed more. So just be aware that, that there's significant downside to be had here for Chainlink, but also a fantastic opportunity to buy this low area. I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to come in, but this is based on Elliott wave theory and a fourth wave coming up and a fifth wave coming down lower. It is following Bitcoin's, ultimately Bitcoin pulling down to 23K will also see Chainlink pull down into this low range, in my opinion. And I think that would be a fantastic opportunity for many retail investors to get into an Oracle-based platform and protocol like Chainlink that I think will have a really good run during the next, I guess, swing to the upside. So I am going to leave the video there, guys. I've gone through a fair few altcoins in this video. So, if you're looking for a few more, join us in Discord, join us in Patreon request, and we do a lot of TA down in Discord as well. So why not check that out? And I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.